What is going on? Welcome back to Rogcast. It has been a while. Happy New Year, everybody! I think it's been since last year since I did the last podcast. But Happy New Year! Hope everyone's doing well. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, Detroit Lions is going to be one of the big topics of this podcast. So let's run the intro. Welcome back, everybody. Today is January 20th. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, everyone, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today, me and Jardan are probably going to end up actually listening to the entire speech. I didn't know there was more to the speech than what there actually was. So, it's actually going to be super interesting to listen to the entire thing. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Detroit Lions lost to the Washington Commanders in our divisional round. I'm going to be honest with you. So it was a very interesting game. It's not that we did completely terrible, but you could definitely tell that we were off of our game, like a lot. Like it was just a very interesting game. And you can tell that our defense, our offense, just something was off. I'm not entirely sure what it was. But we did have a good season. I know there's a lot of people out there right now very mad or upset over the loss, but at this point, it is what it is. I mean, you can't go back and redo it. At this point, I mean, I got to give a little bit of praise to Jardan Daniels. I mean, he is a rookie, first-year rookie for the Washington Commanders, and he looked absolutely amazing. I think that's the one thing about Detroit's defense, besides all the people that are on IR right now, is we have a very hard time stopping a quarterback that runs. I mean, we saw how the Bills game went when we went against the Bills. Josh Allen ran all over us. So that's something that I can see Dan Campbell working on next year, trying to find players that can help us and fill in that void that we have when it comes to stopping the run. I'm super interested to see what the 2025 draft brings us. I just got the news this morning that Ben Johnson did or is going to be signed with the Chicago Bears as their head coach. So obviously we're losing our offensive coordinator at the same time. I haven't heard much about Aaron Glenn about whether he's actually found an actual team yet. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with that yet, but I'll keep you guys updated if I do find out. But I figured because Detroit's done for the season. Let's talk about the accomplishments that the Detroit Lions have accomplished in the 2024 season because they've accomplished a lot. So I wrote down a couple things. Let's go over it. So Detroit as a whole, 15-2 record. Amazing. So this is the fourth year, I believe, that Dan Campbell's been with Detroit. Every year it's gotten slowly better. So obviously this is 5-2. This is the first time that we have been able to clinch the NFC champion, clinch the first seed. And on top of that, which I was super surprised, we were the most watched team during the regular 2024 season with out of 10 games averaging a total of 22.65 million viewers. That is insane. We actually toppled the Dallas Cowboys. So, I mean, in all reality, we are America's new team. Whether we lost or not, we're America's new team, everyone. Just get used to it. I'm going to do a couple shout-outs. Specifically, I want to talk about Jared Goff. This has been going haywire now that TikTok's back up and running. That is one of the big things. Everyone's like, we want Jared Goff gone. Let's hit the brakes for a second. Let's look at everything that played out in that game. Don't be wrong. Jared Goff, I believe, had 4 picks that game, which was terrible. I think this last game, and this is just my opinion, I think because Ben Johnson and because Aaron Glenn they had interviews, they had everything else going on, and because we had a bye week, I think that is what contributed to the loss of the Washington to the Washington Commanders. Jared Goff has always kind of been here or there. Either he has a really good game or he has a really bad game, and it just so happened that it looks like the entire team ended up having a bad game. It is what it is. But let's talk about some of the things that Jared Goff did accomplish this year. So Jared Goff, week 4 against Seattle Seahawks. Goff went 18 for 18 for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and even caught a touchdown pass, becoming the first quarterback in NFL history to complete all of his passes with at least 11 attempts, which is awesome. That is absolutely amazing. He was setting a new franchise record for passer rating, 111.8%, and a completion percentage of 72.4%. He broke his own record for completion percentage from last year, which he was at a 67.3 completion percentage. So that's pretty good for him, He had a career best of 37 touchdowns and his per yard attempts of 8.6. Like I said, when it comes to Goff, I just think that it's a here for he's done better this year than what I thought he did last year. And I'm hoping that whoever our new offensive coordinator that comes in, I'm hoping they can work with him when it comes to pressures, because I feel like once they start closing in around him, he panics. And, you can't do that. You can't panic. You got to find a way out. And I think the new standard for a lot of these quarterbacks is either if you can't find someone to throw to, you run it. And Goff, I mean, we've all seen Goff run. It's not the prettiest thing to watch, but I mean, that's something that they might have to drill into him and train with him on is, he might have to start running because that just seems to be the new standard with a lot of these quarterbacks. Goff went for 4,629 passing yards this season. Phenomenal. It was slightly lower than what he got last year. I believe it was like 4,688 or something like that. And then for those that didn't know, because everyone's talking about trying to get rid of Jared Goff, he did sign an extension with the Detroit Lions for a 4-year term. It was $212 million, keeping him with Detroit till 2028. Like I said, I just think it comes down to training. I think, let's see how next year goes. Let's see what happens in the draft, who we pick up. And then, like I said, what offensive coordinator we end up getting. Let's hope that it's someone that can pick us right up where Ben Johnson left us. And like I said, we'll see what happens. Another big shout out I want to do, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic, Mr. Sonic. He set a franchise record in touchdowns in a season, 20 touchdowns. It was also selected for the Pro Bowl for the second year in a row. NFC Offensive Player of the Week in his final week of the regular season against the Vikings, which he earned. That was a Jahmyr Gibbs just game. He owned that entire game. Detroit Lions didn't play. Jahmyr Gibbs played that game on his own. He went for 1,412 rushing yards and 507 receiving yards with a total of 22 touchdowns. Now, mind you, 2 of those touchdowns were for postseason. He did awesome. Jahmyr Gibbs is a phenomenal running back. And I think he's only grown over the last few years. And I think with Montgomery's MCL injury, I think he blossomed into this just amazing running back. He was already good, but I think because he had to pick up, he pretty much had to pick up the mantle and take on the running back position by himself, with the exception of Reynolds coming in. He just did amazing. You can't forget Knuckles. If you have Sonic, you have to have Knuckles. So we got Mr. David Montgomery. Week 4 against Seattle Seahawks, he rushed for a touchdown for his 7th straight game, tying the franchise record with Billy Sims. He signed a 2-year contract extension for $18.25 million that will keep him with Detroit for 2027. Within the 14 games, Montgomery rushed for 775 yards and 12 touchdowns. David Montgomery, this guy, Sonic and Knuckles, both of them together, this has to be the best running back duo in the NFL right now. It just, when that MCL injury happened, like I said, Gibbs picked it up, which is fantastic for our offense, the fact that we can lose a major running back and our other one can pick up and just act like nothing ever happened. But I do, after watching the Washington Commanders game, you can definitely tell Montgomery wasn't 100%. And that's what I was worried about the most. Even if we did get past this game, if we did beat whoever goes to, whoever wins for championship, I think if we were to make it to Super Bowl, I think by that time Montgomery would have already been fine. But they were talking about bringing Aiden Hutchinson back, and me and a bunch of coworkers that I talked to this about, we had the same scare that they're rushing him. And there's nothing worse than you get a player back from IR after a devastating injury, and he ends up re-injuring himself. And I think that's what I was scared for David Montgomery. Like I said, I think we got hit so hard with the injury bug this year that it finally caught up with us. And with that being said, I think that as much as Detroit wanted the Lions to go to Super Bowl, I think it was just eventually going to come down to, could we handle the amount of injuries that we had? And I just think with the amount of injuries we had, I think it caught up. Lastly, let's talk about one last player. And, these are just the 4 players that I picked out of the hat. I don't end up talking about Williams or Laporta. Those are fantastic players. It has nothing to do with who I think is better than the other, but these are just the four I picked out. Let's talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown, he did phenomenal this year. I feel personally that they didn't utilize him almost the second half of the season. I mean, he was in and out, but I feel like he kind of just disappeared. Like everyone, it was like Amon-Ra was the face of Detroit for a quick minute, and it just kind of like towards especially the end of the season of the regular season, he kind of like you didn't see him nearly as much. Like after the headstand or the whatever you want to call that, the plank in the air. After that, like I feel like he kind of fell off the face of the earth. But during the Seahawks game, St. Brown threw his first career touchdown pass to Jared Goff. He did sign a 4-year contract extension with the Detroit Lions for $120 million, which will keep St. Brown until 2028, which is fantastic. We have Jared Goff till 2028. We have David Montgomery till 2027. And I believe we have Jahmyr Gibbs till 2026 if they don't give him an extension. St. Brown was voted for Pro Bowl from 2022 to 2024, so 3 years in a row, which is not surprising. But St. Brown did finish the season with 1,263 yards, 115 receiving, and 12 touchdowns, which was his career best. Listen, I mean, these guys are phenomenal. We have a lot to celebrate in Detroit when it comes to the Detroit Lions. Yes, they did lose. Yes, and I think Amon-Ra, even on his podcast, had said that he didn't even want a bye week. And that's why, like, I projected Kansas City to lose against the Texans because they hadn't played since Christmas. Like I said, bye weeks aren't always the best thing, in my personal opinion. But like I said, I think it just got the best of them. I hope that we didn't underestimate the Washington Commanders because they are a great team. But yeah, it was heart-wrenching, and I understand people being upset, and I understand people being mad because we thought this was the year. But you guys got to remember something. At the end of the day, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it. I personally hope Washington goes to the Super Bowl. I hope they make it there, and I hope they win. I think at this point, Jaden Daniels is a fantastic quarterback. I think they have a solid team. And I think, if anything, it'd be better for us if we lost against a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl winner because, yeah, I mean, they're a fantastic team. When it comes to the actual playoffs, so let's get away from Detroit. We love Detroit. Make sure, you guys still, again, there's no reason not to support them. I understand being upset with Jared Goff. I understand being upset with Jared Goff. I understand being upset with the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. I know they're under a lot of fire right now because everyone thinks that because of their interviews and stuff like that they didn't put as much effort into this last game, which I don't know. Could be, could not be. At this point, it doesn't matter. But, you still be a diehard Detroit Lions fan. There's always next year. Let's see what comes from the draft. Let's see who we pick up, who ends up leaving. I mean, you never know. Next year could be even better. It seems like over the last 4 years we've gotten better. Maybe next year we'll do even better than 15-2. That would be amazing. And like I said, we'll see what happens. So let's talk about the playoff bracket so far for 2025, what leading to the Super Bowl. So right now, coming up, we have the KC against the Bills. Going to be an amazing game. And we have the Washington Commanders against the Eagles. In all reality, I think this is going to end up being a KC versus Washington game. Nothing against the Eagles. I think the Eagles are great, but I know Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have just not been meeting with each other. They're not, whatever's going on, just not working. And I don't know if Saquon Barkley can take everything on his shoulders alone. He's a fantastic, fantastic player. But when you only have the one player, I mean, I know we got Goddard and a couple of the other players, but like I said, I think that disconnect with A.J. Brown is just I think it's bringing the Eagles down. But I'm picking Washington for my pick, and as much as I don't want KC to win, I do think KC will somehow come out with a victory. I would like to see a Bills versus Washington game. You got two amazing quarterbacks going at it. That would make for a fantastic Super Bowl. But just the way that KC's season has gone so far, I have a feeling that they're going to end up pushing through to Super Bowl. Giving a little update on my dad. So me, Jardan, my father, and his wife all went out to lunch, and everything went very well. We're talking about meeting up soon with the entire family because Georgia, which is his wife, has 3 kids, and I know I haven't seen them in a very long time. So I'll give you guys an update on that one when we figure out what's going on. But everything did go very well. I'll post a picture of us because it's crazy how identical we look. I can definitely see what I'm going to look like when I get older because I just have to look at him. So I mean, it's crazy. I know I talked about it like a couple podcasts ago about doing a video or a vlog of me and Jardan's trip that we plan on taking. So it looks like July, me and Jardan are going to Petoskey, Michigan. It's kind of an anniversary trip, kind of not, because that's not when our anniversary is. But that's what we're planning is sometime mid-July going to Petoskey, enjoying ourselves for 4 or 5 days or whatever. But we do plan on recording it. Just so you guys can be there with us, so you guys can see what we're experiencing. I think we're also going to end up doing a podcast while we're up there in our hotel room, because you guys haven't seen her yet. I've tried to get her on, and then things just don't work out. But yeah, that's pretty much the plan right now. So be expecting that. You'll probably end up getting it towards the end of July because we're going in the middle of July. Give me some time to edit everything because it's going to be a lot of footage to record. So just give me some time. By the end of July, we should be seeing a vlog. My first vlog on the channel, actually. And yeah, it should be super exciting. I do want to give a shout out to Jardan's parents. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Family isn't always perfect. And when things happen and, whether it be arguments or there be issues or whatever the case may be, I have her parents to thank for the things that they've done for me. And I'm not just talking physically, I'm talking even like spiritually and mentally. They've helped me through a lot. And they have gotten me to a point where, like, it wasn't very long into me and Jardan's relationship that I felt like I was part of the family. And even just outside of her parents, even like Aunt Angie and all of them, they've always made me feel super loved. And that's something that I hold close to my heart. I love family. I love having close-knit family, love doing things with the family. So because of the personal issues I've been having with my own family, her family has stepped in, and I want to give a shout out to them because they have filled a void that I've had for a while. And, they filled it in and made me feel loved. Well, listen, guys, that's all we got today on Rogcast. I appreciate you guys stopping by. You guys know I love you very much. I'm sorry it took me so long to get this one out. I've been super sick. I've been having issues with my sinuses. I've been having issues with my head and my neck. But like I said, I'm not going anywhere. So, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. And I love you guys. And I'll catch you next time on Rogcast. If you want, check out some of my other videos. Oh, wrong side. I'll put a video right here. Check out some of my old videos. Why not? They're free. They're up there. If you ain't got nothing to do, if you're just sitting on a toilet, just check it out. It's just right here. Just do it.